Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Uh, Indicating Brahma Vidya, churning the mind, churning the intellect through the vichara inquiry in Vedanta classes. Let's be optimistic, Swam says. White represents Saguna, so a lot of symbolism there. And then we go into the next file. Did you locate yourself there, 27 to 30, please? Just give us your beautiful voice with a beautiful Sanskrit spelling.
I will attempt. Lord Krishna continues with the enumeration of his glories, otherwise known as vibhuti, in this chapter, and many glories are available in this world itself for direction, like the glory in the form of sun, moon, or rivers, etc. And many glories are based on Puranic stories also. And I said the two glories are prominent in our Puranas. One is the story of Gangavataranam. Avataranam, flowing down or coming down. Gangayaha Avataranam, which we saw before. And the other prominent story is Samdura Matanam, story which was given in the last class. Devas and Asuras plan to churn the milky ocean so that they can get amritam out of it. And then, if they take the amritam, they will get immortality. So, with this plan, they brought the Mantara mountain for churning, and they brought Vasuki as the rope, and later Bhagavan Vishnu has come as Kurma Avatara to hold the Mantara mountain while churning. Otherwise, it was going down. And initially they had differences of opinion, but somehow they managed and started churning. The varieties of things appeared. They say 14 virtuous things appeared out of the Milky Ocean at the time of churning. Chaturdarsha Ratani.
Very nice, beautiful. Huh? I mean, when we really, I have a certain resistance to go word by word, getting the picture, and but it's very, very nicely. It starts just developing the appreciation for these Puranic stories and with all the symbolisms, huh? So Vishnu had go journey, otherwise going down. Initially, they had difference of opinion, and they start journey. Various of things appear. So there are so many things which appear when we start really applying these teachings. Submitting our minds to these teachings. So what is the byproduct? You start getting these insights, these understandings. It's going to start firing. The light is going to be lightening up. So all of these lights of understanding, of seeing, and those likewise, they are the vibhuti, glories of the Lord. The Lord manifests as this, this knowledge that start firing up here and there. This is all glory of the Lord. So various of these things appear. And then they say in symbolism, 14 virtuous things, some other things appeared out of this steering or churning the milk ocean, which is a symbolism to the Vedas, I would say. And so please.
Kalidasa writes a prayer called Mangala Shatkam, which is supposed to be chanted in the morning. And in those prayers, he talks about various sacred things to be remembered. Sacred rivers, sacred deities. Like that, he enumerates various things. And in one verse, he mentions the 14 ratnas. Ratna means the precious things which came out of the Milky Ocean. The 14 ratnas came from the ocean, of which the first one enumerated is Lakshmi. Lakshmi Devi herself came. When Lakshmi Devi came, she is Samudra Raja, Tanayam, which is a treasure. Since she has come from the Milky Ocean, she is the daughter of Samudra Raja. And it seems, one poet writes, it seems the Samudra Raja wanted to give Lakshmi Devi in marriage to someone. So he was trying to find out the proper son-in-law. Lakshmi Devi to give to whom? Then Shiva was there. Vishnu was there. Samudra Raja decided to give Lakshmi Devi only to Vishnu. And the poet says, what is the reason? Because Vishnu was well dressed, and Shiva did not even know how to dress properly. And therefore, that poet says that if you want a good girl, dress up well. Yeah. Dress is very important because it is the measure of yogataha, which is the proof. Seeing Vishnu, who was wearing pitambaram, silk and yellow garments, Samudra Raja gave Lakshmi Devi to Vishnu. And when the poison came, he handed over the poison to whom? Charmambaram, Vikshaya, Visham Samudraha.
Okay, Lynn, this yogyata. So the dress is very important because it is a measure of yoga. So it means to say of spiritual development or purification or something.
Yeah,
Those lines.
right. That verse above says, one should not underestimate the importance of clothes as one's attire determines their standing. Something like that. So yogataha could be your accomplishment, your standing, everything together, right? That. Now I forgot where let's see. I will start with.
What I want to say is the first one born. No. Begin seeing Vishnu who was wearing pitambara.
Okay, I will. Seeing Vishnu who is wearing pitambaram, silk and yellow garments, Samudra Raja gave Lakshmi Devi to Vishnu. And when the poison came, he handed over the poison to whom? Chamambaram, Vikshaya, Visham, Samudraha. Chamabaram, he was wearing elephant skin and deer skin, and therefore he says that you should dress. That is a different thing. What I want to say is the first one born out of the churning of the ocean, which indicates in the spiritual symbolism, it indicates the practice of spiritual sadhana, like meditation, japa, etc., is like the churning of the Milky Ocean, as I was telling in the last class. White ocean, Milky Ocean, represents the sattvic mind, which is involved in spiritual sadhana. And when a person takes to spiritual sadhana like japa, puja, etc., various glories come to him like siddhis. Various siddhis indicate Lakshmi Devi. Kaustubha, Ratna, Airavata, women, all these represent various cities that they come. And if the devas and asuras were satisfied with Lakshmi and the various precious stones, they would not have got Amritam. Similarly,
Just a moment. Lynn, what is your interpretation of this part here in which it said that if the devas in the sutras were satisfied with Lakshmi, no, before.
That Katstuba Ratna, that's Vishnu's crest jewel. And Airatvatam is a divine elephant, excuse me.
Right. Now here,
Element.
when he says, when a person takes to spiritual sadhana, like any sadhana, japa, puja, etc., various glories come to the person, even siddhis, or like siddhis. Various siddhis indicate Lakshmi Devi. So what is this? The spiritual development is indicating Lakshmi Devi. It somehow it says that is what? It is indicates the teachings of the Vedas or
Yeah. I think Lakshmi Devi doesn't this
it's
this
the same thing
she
that came out.
represents wealth.
The first thing that came out of this churning was Lakshmi Devi. So
Yes, and she gives wealth, right? So abundance, kind of
yeah,
things like that.
yeah.
So other things come after, I would imagine.
Okay. Maybe also on a physical level. It's not knowledge, but it's more like everything comes from this principle, yeah?
Maybe.
Glory of the Lord manifesting as abundance or manifesting
Yeah.
as everything we know.
And then it says the Devas and Asuras were, if they had been satisfied with that alone, they would not have gotten immortality.
Right, right. That's important. Yeah.
Yeah. Similarly, when we are in spiritual practice, we will get certain worldly benefit. And many people are satisfied with those worldly benefits. They are really speaking obstacles or distractions. And in fact, generally people value cities only. If they want to talk about a Mahan, why Shankaracharya is great, you ask. They will never talk about self-knowledge or his teaching. They will say only gold and nalikai, which is an amla fruit. He chanted. He prayed to Lakshmi Devi. What is that? Kanaka Dara Stotram. Various cities Shankaracharya did. That alone people talk about. So here Shastra says, do not be enamored by these cities. So all these Ratnas, treasures, indicate the distractions in the form of cities. And Devas could succeed only because they were not distracted by these things. They said, we do not want all these things. We are interested in Amrutam. Amrutam means what? Moksha. So these are all positive obstacles in the form of positive benefits or cities. And there's another thing that came out of the Milky Ocean. What is that? Towards the end, halahalakim visham, poison. And here the poison represents various psychological problems that may come to some people when they seriously engage themselves in spiritual sadhana. Because I take away my mind from worldly problems, and therefore my mind is relatively free now. And therefore the other problems, which are in the subconscious mind, which problems we might have acquired in our younger days as children, 50 years before, 30 years before, how our parents treated, and what happened in our childhood. All those problems which are in the subconscious mind, sometimes they come out when a person practices spiritual sadhana or meditation.
That is very nice. This again, he begins addressing some uh, some psychological aspects which may be obstacles to our assimilation of this knowledge. It reminds me, Lynn and Silver, the experience I had in India in the in the 80s, yeah, 87, 1987, when I was there in the ashram. and there was an atmosphere of so much meditation during at the time we had two satsangs with the guru, and then my mind was so more sattvic and calm and peaceful, and then I had that experience which was appeared to be like a dream, but it was not really a dream. It was a release of an event that happened in some past lives in which I was being tortured to death by three people in a kind of a desert. Did I tell you that before? Yeah. So this is not an example of something big. I was just listening to that. I was remember, like, just imagine that kind of subconscious material there in my mind, you know. It was somehow, it was poison in the connection with the thing of the poison. It was a poison that was there that had to be released for my own good, you know. So you are releasing some of these obstacles, some of this poison. And then that because I was in an environment of sadhana or meditation. So please carry on, Lynn.
In Mandukya Karika, Gaudapada talks about these problems at the time of meditation. He talks about 4 types of obstacles in meditation. One obstacle he calls is kashayam. Kashayam means the deeper problems in our unconscious mind, which we may not know. And generally, they do not appear in our mind because the past problems are suppressed because of present problems. We are busy handling the present problem. Where do we have time to worry about the past? My hands are full. In meditation, I set aside all the present problems. And for some people, not for all, these internal problems may come in the form of depression, reasonless fear, anxiety, tension, and the mind often does not know what is the reason, but the mind is not able to operate well.
Yeah, I have been referring to this situation, especially nowadays. Most people suffer of a kind of a chronic dissatisfaction or depression or irritation, you know, which is due to several things, you know, several experience in the past that somehow we pushed in our unconscious mind, and then they mix up and they start producing this attitude or this, you know, inner experience, and we cannot figure it out because there are so many things that we have pushed underneath the carpet, you know, in this basement of the mind. We cannot connect where is it coming, because it became a kind of a chronic condition, which is very common nowadays. You know, people cannot really. You can do therapy. The therapists are going to offer some suggestions here and there, but it's so many experience that were not properly digested, processed, you know, and put to bed, like Ramji likes to say. And then in the end, all of those conflicting subconscious experience, you know, memories, they produce some conflicting feelings and sensations and inner sensations and feelings and moods, you know, and attitudes that is very difficult to figure out and very difficult to release that kind of complex poisons, you know, that get there, please. And the mind is not able to operate very well.
One acharya calls it stabdi bhavaha. Stabdi bhavaha means the mind is stuck. Neither is it able to go forward nor able to go backward. And they are called kashayam.
Very, very nicely. Yeah? This is tamoguna. The person, you know, is somehow it cannot really function properly and cannot really go back to try to sort things out, and at the same time does not have the energy to move forward, you know, just endeavoring in the world and creating new goals and spiritual or otherwise. It's tamoguna, takes takes over and the person begins suffering a sort of a chronic mild depression.
Mhm.
Please.
So, thus, a spiritual seeker may face these internal problems, and especially when they have Gurukula set up. In the Gurukula, the advantage or the disadvantage, you have no other thing to worry about. Because in Gurukula, you need not earn money, everything is provided. You need not cook for food, you need not cook, food is provided. You do not have to worry about family because you have left the family. You do not distract your mind through televisions and movies because in Gurukulam, there's nothing of that sort. And you cannot meet new friends because in Gurukulam, same set of people. So now, when there are no distractions, when there are no other worries to be faced, many people face the internal problems surfacing. And this is indicated by halahala lakyam vishwam, poison, coming from our own mind when it is churned through Shastra Vicharaha.
So beautiful. Please go on.
And
Music to
nobody,
me.
and nobody knew what is the remedy. All the people were running helter-skelter.
What
Everybody
is
was
Dr.
frightened,
Slaughter? I was going to ask you.
here, there, and everywhere,
Indra,
just
okay.
chaotically. Everybody was frightened. And the only remedy is what? They all prayed to the Lord, and the Lord swallowed the poison. Similarly, when we have got emotional problems, getting triggered, and I am not able to find the reason behind it, the only solution is what? Surrender to the Lord. Let the Lord absorb those problems.
This is really, really, really beautiful. I have highlighted this paragraph because life is something very difficult. Since childhood, we deal with many situations that we cannot really process properly and uh, and uh, and resolve those situations. We keep swallowing, 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 and they are pushed in the subconscious mind, and then I find all these problems. So we don't know how to begin with. I know. I mean, I was trying all kinds of therapists trying to figure things out, but so difficult. So many things that was swallowed. There are so many poisons or toxins or impurities or conflicting experience with emotional heavy charge to it. I mean, the complexity of human mind is huge. And then when we are really not able to really work things out, what is the best solution? Surrender to the Lord. Let the Lord take the poison, absorb the poison. It's going to take through genuine surrender or devotion or appreciation. That's when a prayer comes to say, please, please, Lord, help me out here. Okay.
Yeah. And I think also to that surrendering is claiming your swarupa and just letting the problems be Ishwar's problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, even not being able to claim your true nature as Brahman, as Nirguna Brahman, if someone is not able to claim that convincingly, you know, but remember the Saguna Shwara, and if we keep our mind on the Lord knows that I mean there are so many things that are hidden to us. We are subject to too much ignorance, especially in regard to our subconscious mind, contents of the mind. So we surrender to the Lord, and then the Lord's just say, okay, there goes someone with a proper attitude, a proper attitude. That attitude is going to bring about more resolution, more purification, and then these poison, these toxins, they are diluted. Not that the Lord is literally going there and taking, but symbolically it's taking, because surrendering is the key. When you are devotion and you really give everything to the Lord and say, whatever, whatever you want, let it be, and that attitude, it's already spelling the poison, you know what I mean? So I know that also from my direct experience when I was really having no more hopes. I knew that somehow I have done everything, but yet I knew in theory everything, but that was not really what I was looking for, direct self-knowledge. Later on with Vedanta, I understood that. But there was the last stage of my sadhanas, as I shared with you guys, was praying to God, praying to God, praying to God. I have done everything, And then when this prayer, this worship is genuine, that is getting rid of the problem, the obstacles, because somehow you are giving up the desire to have things your way. I want my moksha and blah, blah, blah. The other day I was having a conversation with a student of mine here, and then he was talking about self-knowledge and this and that, and then developing certain virtues. And I said, and how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? And then very proudly she said, by by claiming my true nature as Brahman. But it was, she said two things, claiming and another word, But it sounded so much, the sense of doership of the ego who is doing that was so evident. It was so evident. And then I had to stop her and say, that is the problem, okay? But how the scripture says claiming, claiming, claim. I have to claim, I have to own it. Yes, but not in this egoic manner, You have to just say, yes, sure, I understood. Yes, I'm getting the knowledge, but yet, please bless me with the fruits of this knowledge. I continue, remember the teachings and say, yes, I am of the nature of Satchitananda Brahman, but yes, please, help give me your blessing so that I can enjoy the fruits of this knowledge. It's a claiming that, and with her, it was so evident. I did not want to take the conversation that direction, but her pride, and was so strong. The sense of doing that was so strong. This process has to bring the person to a place of true humbleness, surrender, helplessness. You understand? Okay.
Mm. Surrender to the Lord. Let the Lord absorb those problems. If you know the cause, you know the remedy. But there are many emotional situations we do not know, and therefore halakyam vishwam refers to kashayam problem. Lakshmi, Kustuba, Parijata, etc. indicate various cities that we may get. We may have to transcend both of them, so do not be enamored by the cities, and do not be overwhelmed by these emotional problems also. And if you still perceive, continue after all these things, finally comes what? Amrutam. Amrutam means Atma Jnanam. We have to survive until that. So what I want to say is the Samudra Matanam, 14 Ratanams appeared. And based on that story only, another poet wrote, many Sanskrit scholars do not write many things. Many verses are there. So one poet wrote.
Before you go there, this passage is brilliant as well when he says, okay, you're gonna have these obstacles, these these mental, emotional conditions that somehow clouds our sattva guna, no, our viveka, and we are confused, emotionally imbalanced, and so on. So you have to get beyond that kind of obstacle. So you have to transcend both those poison, those obstacles, and even some seeds that come, if that's what he means. So do not be overwhelmed by this emotional problem that you need to transcend. if you still perceive, experience that after all this sadhanas, all this Vedantic process, you continue, do not give up.
Yeah.
Finally comes what? Atmayanam. Before that, we must survive the process. Before that, the passage here is, but before that, we have to survive until it comes. You understand? Never giving up, continuing, adjusting our demands and attitudes and so on. Ultimately, things get resolved only with Atmayanam. But before that, we need to deal with everything that comes out from this steering, presenting, yeah, submitting the mind to the Upanishads, going into sadhanas that brings about more pacification, and a mind is a certain lifestyle in which you are not running around all the time. I mean, there is running around and running around, running around. So people get busy physically running around doing so many things. But some people, they don't do things, but somehow the mind is running around, creating a lot of stress and so on. So we need to find a place in which the mind really relax, and then
Mm.
we have a chance to see these poisons come up, and hopefully we are not going to see some seed powers coming out of it as well, because that can be very, very seductive.
Mm.
But ultimately, Atmiyana is what's going to resolve this problem. But we need to survive until that. So what I want to say is that and based on the story, another poet wrote, let's see the story of this poet.
So one poet wrote, Bharataha Panchamo Vedaha. There are 4 Vedas, and Mahabharatam is the 5th one. Suktutraha Saptamo Rasaha. Normally we are about Sat Rasaha. 6 and rasas means taste, I believe. 6 types of rasas.
Yeah.
Rasa means sweet, sour, pungent, etc. And if you have got a wonderful son or daughter, add that also. It is like the 7th rasa. Dvadas dasham ratnam. Ratnam. So 14 ratnas came out of the Milky Ocean. Chaturdasha ratnani. And if in the world there's a generous person who can give charity in plenty, that is a rare phenomenon. That is, generous person is like the 15th Ratnam. Why 15? 14 have come out of the Milky Ocean. And Jamada Dashamo Graha see from where to where he is going. Maybe the poet had too many daughters. The son-in-law is the 10th Graham. So we all have got 9 planets affecting our lives positively and negatively, and over which we have no control at all. And if you have a daughter and she is married, your life is governed by another planet, and that is the son-in-law. That means that he influences you, but you have no control over. So anyway, what I wanted to say is, Chatur Dasha Ratnani came.
Okay, so just a moment. The 4 Vedas and Mahabharata is considered the 5th one. That's the first time I hear that. Normally, we about sat. What he means that 6 types of Russias. Russia.
Mm.
Russia means sweet. Okay, a
Good state.
wonderful. And if you have got a wonderful son, add another one. So he talks about Russia, and ratinas came out of the milk. Uh, I forgot what is ratina referring to here.
Um, Those are treasures, right?
Treasures, huh? Okay, it makes sense. Yeah. Okay. And then he talks about certain people, such as a very generous person, which is another glory of the Lord manifest, as such a person, All of that comes out of the Lord. See from where it's going, and then he brings the mother-in-law. There are some passages here that's a little bit confusing because we don't know the details of this, the background, the context of this story. But then he says 9 planets affecting our lives positively and negatively. And then he gives the example. If you have a son and he gets married and then you have a daughter-in-law, so your daughter-in-law is like another planet governing your experience as a father, influencing you. And you have no control of any of that. So anyway, what I want to say is Shatudasa, what it means, Shatudasa Ratani came.
18 treasures came.
More treasures came, more glory.
Yeah.
Out of these 14 byproducts of the glory, or the glorious or treasures that come out, one is, please.
Uccai.sravas. Where is the uccai.sravas? Look at verse number 27. I am supposed to be teaching the 10th chapter. Do not wonder that I have forgotten Gita and wandering all over. For the sake of uccai.sravas, I have some meandering, because I can do that only in this chapter. In every other chapter, I have to keep the topic in mind. I am tightly tied. But this is the only chapter I can have elbow room and some fun. Anyway, among the ashwas, horses, I am the uccai.sravas, the special horse, which came out of the Milky Ocean. And the very word indicates it is the most famous horse. Shravaha means famed. Kirti uccai.sravas, that horse which is the most famous one. Uccai.srava, Yasya, Shravaha, uccai.sravaha, among the horses. And how did that horse come? Vidhi mamam rito bhavam. So I am that horse which emerged during the Amruta Matanam. Amruta Matana Kala Udbhavam. Udbhavam meaning the birth, the origin. And Airavatam Gajendranam, among the elephants. I am the Airavatam. Airavata is another one which came during Samudra Matanam. So Airavatam, the white elephant, I told you the other day, it is the white elephant of the heavenly world. On the earth, white elephant, So Airavatam, which is the vehicle of the mount of Devendra, and which is supposed to have Chaturdanta, 4 horns, etc., 4 tusks. Airavatam Gajendranam. I'm having difficulty with the Sanskrit.
No wonder.
Naranam cha naradipam. Among the human beings, I am the king. That is why in our tradition, or in many traditions, the king is taken as the manifestation of the Lord himself. They look upon the king as God, because Bhagavan here says, I am the king among the human beings. And not only that, the king has to support Dharma, just as the Lord is Shashwata Dharma Gopta, the maintainer, eternal maintainer of Dharma. Similarly, the king has also to protect Dharma. Therefore, a protector of Dharma, king is taken as the representative of God, and therefore the Lord enumerates. Verse 1028. I am Indra's thunderbolt among weapons. I am Kamadhenu among cows. I am the productive passion. I am Vasuki among the serpents. Ayudhanam among the weapons. Aham Varajyam. Vajram. Vajrayudham. I'm sorry. Vajrayudham. Aham asmi. Vajrayudham is the special weapon of Devedendra. And in the Purana, the story is given how this special weapon was taken out of the backbone of Dadichi Maharshi. That Dadichi Maharshi had done plenty of tapas, and therefore his very body had become strong because of the tapas he performed, and therefore, for the special purpose of destroying Vritrasura story I told in Shikshawali. So to destroy Vritrasura, Dadichi Maharshi sacrifices his life, and out of his backbone, Vajrayudham is made. Therefore, it has got the strength born of tapas shakti, because we can consider spiritual power or meditative power is much stronger than the material power. That is why they tell the story also how Vishwamitra decided to become Brahmarshi. That is just honorific title for just saying you are Brahmin.
Yeah.
Vishwamitra was a Kshatriya by birth, and Vishwamitra and Vashishta got into a problem. I do not want to go into details, and therefore they had a war, as it were. And Vishwamitra was shooting weapons after weapons, and Vashishta kept his Ramadana Danda in front, in which he had invoked all his tapas shakti, and therefore all the missiles, the missile systems of America, all the missiles like the Patriot missiles and all those things, Vishwamitra was shooting, and they all came, and they all just fell in front of Brahma, Danda, and they were diffused. Then only Vishwamitra understands the Kshatriya Balam strength, or the material strength is far inferior to the mental strength which is born out of tapas, or meditation. And therefore he says, Na kshatriya balam, Brahma tejo balam. Physical and material strength is nothing. Brahma tejo balam, the power of the spiritual brilliance of Brahma, is tapas shakti, is alone, is superior, and therefore he decides to do tapas and get inner strength. And that is how Vishwamitra, the Kshatriya Rishi, becomes a Brahma Rishi. And from this also we come to know that even if a person is born Shudra or Vaishya or Kshatriya, by doing sadhana, he can change the varna. A Kshatriya can become a Brahmana. Therefore, Brahmanatvam is not primarily by birth. Brahmanatvam is by character, sadhana, and lifestyle. Anyway, what I want to say is, Varajyudham is stronger because of the spiritual strength. And therefore Krishna tells, I am Varajyudham of Indra. the thunderbolt weapon made of that bone from Tapas. Denu namas mi kamaduk. So among cows, and that too the milk cow, cows or the milk yielding cows, so many cows, among the cows which gives milk, we have a special Sanskrit word, denudu, denuhu. Denu is the name of the cow which gives milk. And among such cows, I am Kamadhenu, Kamaduk, Kamadhenuhu. And why? Kamadhenuhu, because the other cows can yield only milk, whereas Kamadhenuhu is a unique cow, which can yield anything you want. Kamam, dogadi iti kamaduk. How do you do this, Arlindo? I'm very impressed.
Why, are you getting tired?
Yeah. Getting tired.
Okay. Now let me carry on here. This slide. So you have to only go near the cow and pray. So, of course, there is a lot of symbolism. Is all mythologic and Puranic, but the cow being a symbol, and this is a powerful cow for some reason, you can get not only milk. Milk is considered to be a nectar from the literal know of the Vedic culture. But behind the cow, they have superimposed other treasures to the cow, because the cow now is not only the one providing, milk, which in the past it seems was fundamental for the survival of people there in India. But now the cow got status of a deva, and then you can go and pray to this cow. You get not only the milk, but don't think that you're gonna get Coca-Cola, because that's not the point. But you're gonna get some blessings coming through the cow, but coming from the Lord, but passing through the symbol of the Lord, the Mrs. Cow. So it will come directly. So all things materialize as a blessing coming from this deva, which is a symbol of God, manifest as the cow, which gives milk. Everything is going to come as blessings of the Lord. House, car, or whatever, So you pray to this special cow. Oh, this famous cow that gives you not only milk, but being a symbol Ishwara, can bless you with a lot of favorable things and circumstances, It emerged, of course, out of the same milk. And this also indicates a beautiful symbolic presentation. The mind is Kamadhenu. A human mind and the human intellect is so powerful that you fully tap into the true nature of the mind, or if you go to a process by which you refine and purify your mind, you may have access to great knowledge. That's the point here. And not that you're going to create anything you desire to have. That's not the point. So, but we know that the human mind has a certain power to tap into certain knowledge and being creative, inventing things, some gadgets and so on. So it's all coming from this human mind, human intellect. So the internet, modern technology comes from the human mind. Therefore, if a human being decides to tap into the power of one's own intellect, mind, intellect complex, one can achieve many things. All the 14 lokas he can accomplish, why he can attain moksha also. Why he can attain moksha? The mind also, it will milk and give you therefore. Okay, the mind, that's very nice. And we have seen at the beginning of this section here, is one of the blessings, the most fundamental glory of the Lord, or vibhuti, is consciousness. But consciousness is very difficult to most people understand. And then he comes down and he presents, among other things, he presents the human mind, the human intellect as one of the greatest vibhuts of the Lord. Because if you say that the true nature of the mind is consciousness, and it has no attribute, no attribute, property, or capacity to do anything, you know. But then when you talk about the glory of the Lord as the human intellect, the human mind, we know that the mind can produce many things, you know. And the ultimate is self-knowledge because it's moksha, you know, that's what brings about moksha, which is the knowledge that we all want. But some people, they are going to be distracted. They want to go to one of these lokas, you know, to enjoy certain experience there. But according to the maturity of one's mind, one may work to get self-knowledge and freedom from all these inferior desires. You know? The desire for moksha, it is a desire, but once it is fulfilled, it leaves ones without any other desire, because that is the ultimate desire for self-knowledge and no moksha. Once you somehow you're blessed with that, and then why are you going to produce more desires, you know? So the mind cannot produce anymore. So all of this potential is there in the mind. And then kapart, kandapart means desire. Manmata, the deity of desire or passion, is highlighted here, it seems. And desires here is seen as the greatest creator of everything. So human beings are moved by desire. Desire has a tremendous power. We are moved by our desires. You know, there is so much energy that moves us. Rajoguna. Huh? Then we need to have sattvic desire. So we need sattva guna so that we can produce desires which are of a superior nature. Huh? So the mind and its desires is what brings about knowledge and a lot of these modern technologies and so on. So desire is the greatest producer of spiritual, scientific knowledge and even spiritual knowledge. So on a common sense of desire to buy a house, you need to have the know-how, but besides, behind that, you need to have a huge desire to do so. A lot of money, planning, and so on, desire. So everything that's produced is born out of human desire. It's the most fundamental propulsing force that moves us through life from one accomplishment or failure, you know, here and there, and then in kind of zigzag we go until we come for this, we get to this desire for self-knowledge. Therefore, the greatest creator, and that is why we say necessity is the mother of all creativity. And this is so beautiful, this proverb, you know. And again, the greatest creator is the necessity, 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 necessity. So how could it be that the desire for self-knowledge becomes a necessity, you know? So it's uh, it's it's difficult to put in words, but when you no longer uh, has any fantasy that the desire for things of this world could represent a solution, a resolution, and the end of suffering, and then you come to this final desire, and then it's the ultimate necessity. You cannot say, okay, later on now let me take care of this other one that's going to deliver also peace and satisfaction. So desire here is being put as the mother of all creativity. Yeah? And in the common sense of our human experience, so we see people living in very, very adverse conditions, meaning temperature or lack of good soil and water. There are all kinds of people surviving in certain areas of the planet, and they have to bring about so much creativity because the difficulties are many. So I was born in this planet here, in this planet, in this nation here, in this country here, in the south hemisphere, and here uh, we never had much of these adversities regarding extreme temperatures or weather conditions, you know. And here it's easy. It used to be so easy. When I was a young man, I would see, no, there is no problem here. On those days, everybody could live a simple life somewhere near the beach and then go to the ocean, had a fish, and then fry your fish, a little bit of rice. I mean, everything. You don't need to provide wood to survive the winter. You don't have extreme temperature in certain areas that you don't need air condition. So, but if you need, I was always thinking in terms of people living on the extreme uh, uh, northern areas of the planet. Temperatures was so cold. I moved to Germany when I was a young man, and the first winter I did there was minus 20 Celsius. It was unbelievably cold. You will say, oh my God, I used to call my friends in Brazil and say, okay, I moved here, but I did not know I'm living within a freezer. Everything here freezes. You know? So the necessity is a mother of all creativity and inventions. Yeah? And all comes with desire for comfort, desire for for surviving, striving. A human mind is going to create solutions for all these difficulties, like air condition and fan and so on. So the power goes away. At crucial time, generator was created and so on. So what is the desire for moksha, Swamiji? Let's see if he's going to mention. Therefore, among the creators, among the desire, productive passion, which the cause of everything, include the desire for children, so production children. So the desire is the force that moves us, you know. If somebody, passion, he used the word passion, if somebody lose passion for life, and then one goes into depression, you know, and then if one does not have any more desire for anything. And then we would say, like, so how could be then the situation of a yani that does not have more just any more desire for things of this world and does not have desire for self-knowledge because that desire was solved as well, was, you know, resolved. Yeah. So how does Yani lives without desire? So it is a good thing to contemplate in our next class because it is a kind of life that most people cannot understand. You don't have any more real desires for anything of the world and not even the desire for self-knowledge. But somehow you have your karma to exhaust and you do the best possible way. But you have your suitcase always read, what I mean to say. So Ishwara comes and says, it's okay, you can come, let's take you away. Let's bring your this body back to the elements, the primary elements. And I will take you to the ocean of Brahman, and you are not going to come back. And then, no problem, Ishwara, I have my luggage read. Yeah. So we stop here, Lynn, and
Can you talk next time about what there seems to be a place where the jiva comes to the desire for knowledge and of themselves, their swarupa, the desire to know themselves truly. But I've been interested in how to grow that mumukshu, how to stimulate that mumukshu even further, because the mind gets drawn away. You know, how to dwell there. And I wonder if we could talk about that next time.
Yeah, I love to talk about this subject, and we do it next because we could go for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and I'm tired as well. So remind us, please, that we're going to begin our next satsang with this
Okay,
this topic. Okay?
thank you.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate Om Shanti 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 Om. Okay,
Thank you,
so
Raman.
between the two of us, we crossed the vibuts of the Lord.
Well, a few of them. There seem to be a lot of them.
Namaste. See you soon. Bye bye. Bye, Sylvia.
Bye bye.